Invocation pledge, please. Let's pray. Dear God, we do thank you for the day. We thank you for everything you give us. Be with us now as we make decisions according to the city. Have it be according to your will. Just be with all our city employees and all of us to keep us safe and keep us well. In your name, amen. You join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's okay. That's all right. Come on, right there. Okay, I believe the minutes were sent out to you last week. Do I have a motion to approve minutes?
So moved.
Second. Motion second to approve minutes. Okay, now we are going to suspend the meeting. All in favor? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? You didn't get me, but I'll tell you what. Okay, we're going to suspend and go to a public meeting for the Harborne Light. Where we need to go with this?
I will turn it over to Ryan and his team if they'd like to say something to the public. And it is a time for the public to comment about in this public hearing about the bond issue. Yeah.
Thank you. Ryan Bowman with Friday Aldridge Clark. Our firm is serving as bond counsel to the city in connection with the proposed bond issue to finance water improvements here in the city. As required by state law, a notice of public hearing was published in your local newspaper at least 10 days in advance. You are required to hold a public hearing to give citizens an opportunity to comment either for or against the bond issue before you consider the ordinance authorizing the issuance of the bonds. To remind you, as I mentioned earlier, these are to finance improvements to your water facilities. These bonds will be secured solely by revenues of the water, electric, and fiber optic communication systems. Representatives of the Water and Light Commission are here to answer any questions that you might have, but now would be appropriate, Mayor, to open the public hearing for comments from citizens in connection with the bond issue.
Okay.
You want to state your name?
Would anybody from the Water and Light Commission like to speak, or any comments from any citizens? I think this is going to be just to... Any comments? No comments? They will close the public meeting, hearing, and reopen public meeting. Okay?
Next on the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, next on our agenda, Mayor, is consider the ordinance for the utility revenue bonds. And again, Mr. Bowman, Taylor Marshall, and Jason Holzclaw with Stevens is present to discuss the ordinance with the board.
Thank you again. As was mentioned, this ordinance authorizes the issuance of bonds in the amount of $9,975,000. Assuming that you all approve this ordinance, then we would proceed with the bond closing scheduled for December the 30th. That's when the city would have the funds to finance the water improvements. The bonds were offered by Stevens to investors this morning, so what you had received in your agenda packet earlier had blanks. This ordinance that you have now before you tonight has those blanks filled in with the results of the bond sale that occurred earlier today. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. You will note that there is an emergency clause, and so after adoption of the ordinance, I would ask that you separately approve the emergency clause so that the mayor is authorized to sign the bond purchase agreement tonight with Stevens, which locks in the interest rates that you received on this bond issue, and of course those rates would only be good for today, so that's why it's important that we do have an emergency clause that the mayor is authorized to sign that bond purchase agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. This is very similar to what the city did back in 2015. We refinanced that bond issue in 2020, and then we did a new money issue in 2021. And so the terms and the conditions that you all are currently obligated to follow with respect to those bond issues those are the same obligations that you have with respect to the SNIP bond issue as well.
All right, any questions from the board? I think Water and Light Commission is all happy with the way we're going. No comments?
We met with the Water and Light Commission at 5:30 today. They approved moving forward with the bond issue, and so you do have the recommendation and the approval of the commission.
Okay. I need a motion to suspend the rules. Go for it.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second. Cindy, Linda.
Steve Montgomery,
Aye.
Reginald Easter. Linda Clark. Trevor Coffey. Ron Steele.
Aye.
I move we adopt the ordinance.
Okay, do you mind if I read the ordinance by title only? Thank you.
Do you want to do the motion to read by title only?
That's what we just did, I believe. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. In order to authorize the issuance of Public Utility System Revenue Bond Series 2025, authorizing a trust and interest securing the bonds, authorizing the sale of the bonds, and the execution of a bond purchase agreement, prescribing other matters relating thereto, and declaring an emergency. So now, because that was the motion to suspend the rules and read by title only, now if I could entertain a motion to adopt the
I was
ordinance.
trying to help you there.
Trying to get back on the road.
Move we adopt the ordinance.
Motion second. Cindy?
Steve Montgomery,
Aye.
Reginald Easter. Linda Clark. Trevor Coffey. Ron Steele.
Aye. Motion to adopt the mercy clause.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Cindy?
Steve Montgomery,
Aye.
Reginald Easter. Linda Clark. Trevor Coffey. Ron Steele.
Aye. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much.
So I was afraid you got to read the whole ordinance. I was worried about that.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, before we go into the budget, we're going to executive session, just to talk about personnel just for a second. So we'll be back in just a minute, all right? I'll talk among yourselves. Personnel, no action was taken, so we'll move on to item 7.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and.
Go ahead, just introduce yourself.
Hey, thanks, guys. Really appreciate, a lot of work's gone in the budget. I want to thank all the department heads for their hard work. Daniel and Cindy, for the roles, a lot of roles they played in putting this together, doing all the research and things of that nature. What I'm gonna do today, last Friday, we put online for you to start looking at it, but that was not the full budget. We updated that today. We got our final numbers in today on some insurance costs and some, not health insurance costs, other insurance costs. And we've got all those numbers in now. So the budget should be pretty accurate unless we've made a mistake somewhere, or, something that we just overlooked. So what I was gonna just do today, and hopefully I'll just introduce you to the budget, some new things, some reasons why, and then I'll stop and maybe y'all can then take this kind of information home, look at the budget for the next 2 weeks, give you plenty of time to really delve into it, think about it. Call us up, ask us any question, we'll try to get you the information quickly as possible. And then hopefully our next meeting in December, first meeting, maybe we'll be close to passing a budget. If not, and we need to keep discussing some things, we can go to the second meeting in December. Hopefully we'll have it done by the first of the year. By law, you have to have it done by February 1st. That's the state law. And since you don't have a budget January 1st, what is allowed is departments would use, not capital expenditures, but just for the normal expenditures, the line item expenditures, they would operate off last year's budget if that ever came to be the case, that we couldn't close on the budget by January 1st. But we've never not been able to close on the budget. I don't anticipate that happening this year either. So I just I'm gonna basically kind of go through the budget notes. You have those before you. They're the first part of your packet. I gave it to you, and I'm just gonna point out some things. And before I do that, I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, thank y'all, the board, for y'all have always been really great to work for and really helpful in your comments and very respectful in the way you do those things. And certainly that is great for staff, and we appreciate it. Kind of a mantra we've had over the last few months, we have it written on our board in our office, is responding to today's needs without jeopardizing future readiness. That's kind of our goals. We want to respond to today's crisis without forfeiting what the city's going to need for the future. So those are the kind of the mantra we have. I'll just tell you, working with Catherine and now working as your city manager for the last almost 3 years now, this is probably the most challenging budget I've worked with out of the probably 8 budgets I've been working with in some capacity or the other. This was very challenging. You know, I know we all understand the reality of having to make hard choices when it comes to money. Nobody likes it. I get that, but some years are just more challenging than others in those decisions, and this was definitely one of those challenging years. I would say that when we talked to you, I told you, y'all asked me in one of the, in a previous time, y'all asked me to kind of share with you what may have gotten cut from a department head's request in terms of capital assets, so we've tried to provide that to you. I would say that whatever management suggests on cutting to try to bring things within a balanced budget, we encourage our department heads to keep that on their 5-year plan. So keep bringing that to us. You know, something may not happen right away, but it happens over time, and keep bringing us your needs, and hopefully we'll get those done. All right, so we'll jump into the budget notes real quick. Just want to let you know we do have a small salary increase for every employee of $750 in this budget that you're looking at. This is what's recommended by management that allows us to balance the budget. Retirement contributions, the ACRES contribution remained the same. The lot fee contribution went up 0.5 percentage point, so we went from 24 to 24.5% on lot fee. With respect to health, dental, vision, life, y'all know that what happened to the health care costs, so there's about a 20% increase, but because we capped that, we don't realize that 20% increase. But that's what it would have been had we stayed with the traditional plan that we had. And y'all are well aware of what y'all decided on the health care field. We offered the 2 packages at our benefit fair. And if I remember correct, Daniel, somewhere around 53 or 54% are with a traditional 2,000, and about 46 to 7%, somewhere in that neighborhood, is switched over to the high deductible plan. Legal defense, there's no rate increase for legal defense or vehicle insurance programs. There was a property insurance rate increase of approximately 6% across the board. Workers' compensation which aligns with the state of Arkansas rates on all codes. There was an increase of about 28%. Now, some departments will not see those increases because those increases go by code of type of employment that you are. And so some departments may see a little small decrease, but just looking overall at what we spent last year on all workers' comp and what we spend this year, it's a 28% increase in that cost. The estimated consumer price index cost of living adjustment to the federal government, I think what Social Security is going to be going up this year to cover their COLA is 2.5%, according to the research we conducted via the internet. So that's all the tough news on the expense side. Outside of requests, that's just the things that we're going up, you got to pay it if you want to keep it. So that's that. On the revenue side of that, we're still projecting revenues to probably equal what was in 2024. We don't see that increasing. The first half of the year was what was down. The second half of the year it's increased, but we're still, from our conservative estimates, we should probably be pretty close to what we did last year. So it's not really an overall increase. I was going to mention something else on increases. Oh, turnback revenue did not increase. So there's really no, we don't really didn't get increases along with our expense increases. We didn't get revenue increases that we thought we might get. Turnback was the same, both the general turnback and the street turnback is the same as last year. The state did not increase those turnbacks. We don't have any anticipated staffing changes for the coming year. So there's nothing that we're thinking about in 2026 at this point. Here's our significant needs in the budget. I'll just share with you some of the significant things you'll see when you turn in your budget to the sanitation department. You will see a proposal to do a lot of work there. How long it will take us to do all this work is not known at this point. What we did do to try to come up with the cost, if it was all done in this year, is what's in your budget. If it could all be done this year, we don't know if that's even possible. Obviously, if the board approves our budget down the road, what we're asking for, I think if I remember correctly, and you can turn to the page if you want to, but we need to do that Baylor is an issue, and it's around close to $1 million, a little under $1 million to do that. We have a class 4 landfill sale is within 3 years of max capacity. That's the estimates from engineers, not J.R. Wilson. So we're looking at trying to cover those costs and getting starting on that early with engineering and all that stuff that's needed. We have some major equipment that's getting close to the end of useful life. So if we end up doing a bond issue, what we asked for was to go ahead and capture some of that in this bond so we could smooth those payments out over a 15-year period. It's equipment that would last that long, something like an excavator, things of that nature. And there's other things in that sanitation that you can look at those individual items and see what it came up with. If we do that, it's going to be around a $2.8 million venture. And if we paid it back over 15 years with the bond, then there would be an increase to sanitation rates, obviously, to cover that. Without those kind of things, I think our Baylor eventually will go down. And we'd have to find other ways to finance things over time.
JR,
Yes, sir.
question on that. There's like $600 debt service for sanitation right now. Redoing these bonds, or are you talking about the debt that we have, putting those in there as well?
That includes that. That $599 includes our estimate of this new
So
bond.
will that increase that annual debt service adding this, or will it still remain the
No,
same?
that is figured into that. When you look at that number, $599, that's where you get the
Yeah.
600,000. This, what we're proposing is included in that. We've already run the numbers on a possible 15-year bond, what it would cost us, and that number's in there.
Is that what our debt service has been?
No. No.
Or was our debt?
If you look at that page, if you go to your sanitation page, it's near the backside of your budget. If you look at sanitation capital outlay, the sanitation capital outlay, I've got it covered up here. Our current landfill bond payments are $240,950. And then we have a few loan payments that are debt service in there, like our commercial truck and dump truck and a dozer. Those are all things that we're currently committed to. But when you look at that 2026 landfill bond payments, I'm sorry, I misread. The 2016 landfill bond payments was $270. That's what we've been paying, that $270,400. But where you see where we titled it 2026 landfill bond payments, that's what we project would be the payment if we did everything we asked you we could do. And that's what the debt service would cost us. Now, it probably won't cost us that next year because, you don't get everything done at once, but eventually that would be the annual cost, probably 2027-ish.
So an increase of about 160,000.
Pardon?
An increase of about 160.
Yeah, whatever that, I'd say an increase of $249.50.
Then overall, since
Overall.
since commercial truck comes off and all
Yes.
that, so
That's right.
still.
Yeah, some of those things are gonna come off, you're right. And we think we could use that extra funds because what's gonna come up next year is the collection side. We'll have, commercial trucks and residential trucks that go out and,
That's one of the first things that kind of hit me upside the head. I noticed there's like a $400,000 difference between sanitation and wastewater,
Yeah.
between revenue and what we're spending.
Yes.
So,
So on the sanitation side, we're just, we all agree with squeezing every dollar out of an asset we can. We all do that. But at some time, when you squeeze and you squeeze and you squeeze and everything comes due at once, it's a big bill at once. So, it is what it is, but it's definitely something that's manageable. We estimated looking at, somewhere around maybe $7.50 debt service increase for our residents. That may cost them that much a month. And we looked at somewhere around a $15 debt service increase, or 20, I can't remember which one it was, for the commercial side. We think that would come really, really, really close to funding. Okay, so that's kind of the sanitation concerns, that I think you're gonna find new in this budget. The hope for the future projects, of course, y'all know all them. I included a schedule, 3 pages over from my notes, in my notes. If you look at those, that 3-year anticipated hope for the future construction schedule, you'll at least get an idea of what we're thinking as management when these things will all come about, and what the plans are for the timing of it. That's not guaranteed, of course. And it's in these same budget notes it's the last page of these budget notes, page 5 of the budget notes. So you can at least get an idea of what we think the timing is on all those projects. So that's there for you to review. The new items of note that I think you'll likely seeing the data, it's number 6 in the budget items, is in the sales tax tab of the consolidated revenues, that first part of your budget. If you turn to that consolidated revenues, just 2 or 3 pages over from where we are, if you look at the revenue of those consolidations, you'll look down this line. It starts off with taxes, right? Y'all see what I'm talking about? And it'll say general property tax. That's our typical 1 cent that we've always operated with. There's the 3 Mill County road tax, there's the franchise taxes, there's the county sales tax. It's our portion of the county sales tax. And that's what you're used to seeing, those 4 things in our taxes. But you'll notice we included the new city sales tax for the Hope for the Future project, that 1 cent. If you look across that line, you'll see what is proposed to come in 2026. And if you look down at the 7/818, you'll get a division of that 27770 on the 7/8 cent and the 1/8 cent. Yeah, we may have made a mistake here. I may need to pull one of those things out because we're double counting it. Apologize about that. The intention was to give you the 7/8 cent and the 1/8 cent, and I actually put the whole number in there too. But those add up to the 2,770,000, okay? And what we're obligated to pay, we estimate we're obligated to pay in 2026. If you look at your expenses and the consolidated, if you go to the last page, second to the last page, and it's right above the highlighted thing that says general fund total expenses. If you look right above that, you'll see a line item that says 2 restricted sales tax reserves. 2 restricted sales tax reserves. And that's how much we estimate would be above our payment that we're going to collect. And then if you look 2 lines above that one, you'll see 2025 bond series debt service. That $1,967,903 is what we have to pay next year in our bond service. So we're going to pay that. We'll have $734,000 left over. So you say, well, what does that do? Well, 1/8 cent of that whole tax, $340,000 or $50,000, goes into the operations and maintenance restricted funds for the park that all the voters voted to approve. And so 1/8 cent restricted to park operations and maintenance, can't be used for anything else. And then the rest of that money goes to a bond redemption account held by our trustee that builds up until the bond allows us to buy down debt early. And whenever that time comes that we can buy down debt early, whatever's in that account, we can use, the board can make a decision to use that immediately to buy down debt. And that would just come back before y'all, I think, at that point. I think there are some restrictions on when we can do that, and I'm not sure what those are, it might be 10 years down the road. But somewhere, there's some restrictions on how that's bought back. But I can get you that information and let you know as we move forward.
But you didn't put projected totals for those taxes this year?
The projected total for all the taxes is $2,770,000.
Even though we're not collecting a full 12 months this year? You almost
This is for
started-
2026.
Right, I'm asking for the projected 2025.
Oh, no, I guess we didn't. I can, you probably see some numbers across there, those are inaccurate. That's a misnomer. So that just got accidentally pulled in here, what I'm looking at. So is it up there? Okay, well, we got it corrected here. We got it corrected here, and I've got a bad version in my book. But that should be pretty close to right.
Joe, what you're asking for is some numbers right here. Is that
Correct,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we could get that.
Yeah, but see, what I have here, and I guess what you have before you, we've got another number in there, so I apologize. Is that what y'all have? Y'all got that? Okay, well, I've got the wrong note in my, I apologize. But like I said, we were working up to the last minute today to get a lot of this stuff corrected, and I probably put this in mind and forgot to print myself a new one. I apologize. But that is correct. Those two things together, 7/8 and 1/8 would be the 2,770,000, it's pretty close. Well, you can add them together and see what it is. And then that full amount, some of those would go to bond payment, that 1,000,009 that you saw in the expenses, 1,000,009 something, and then the rest of that would go to restricted reserves, either the park operation and maintenance or the bond redemption. Okay. All right, if there's no questions on that, I'll jump down to B, 6B, the general fund capital outlay. That was a difficult thing. If you just look on your next page, this is what management is recommending. But if you look in your budget, go past the consolidated fund schedule, and go past the general revenue, that's all the colorful stuff, and the general expense summary. And on the next page, you'll have sales tax fund, and then the next page you have capital outlay. And right on the back side of that capital outlay, if you turn over, you'll see everything that was requested on the back side of it. You'll see everything that was requested and what management removed and what was accepted. So I promise y'all I'd kind of give you some accounting mechanism of what came before me and what I'm recommending to the board. And that's just the way we did it. Here's what came before me in the requested line item, and what is over in the proposed is what I'm recommending to the board. Any questions on that? If there's not, I'll move on to the public works side of the house.
Now, the two parts stuff, the memorial, but that's coming from tourism, right?
The Copaiggy Memorial is tourism funded. It's an in and out.
But it is shown on both sides.
That's correct. It is shown on both sides, yeah. The way we do that, if you looked at the tourism transfer, you'll see the normal transfer plus the 60,000. And, we don't have to do it that way in the budget. We could have just left the 60,000 out and let tourism do with it, but it's a way I can keep the board, all the other members of the board that aren't on the tourism commission, keep you in the loop.
It was shown that way last year too, we just
That's right.
never did.
Never did it, that's right. That's right, shown that way last year.
It was put in the exact same way last year.
That's right. And we still don't know exactly how it's gonna all work out. So, it may end up costing more, but the tourism has that authority under their commission setting to make those decisions to up that or not. But this is what's budgeted, because this is what we estimated a couple of years ago.
Now, the police department on the car going from 2 down to 1, that's kind of
It's a tough deal.
a tough deal, because we have in the past, I remember years in the past where we've got behind, we've had to catch up.
Yeah,
Because
it's
those
tough.
cars just could not stay as long as we wanted.
Definitely, it is a tough deal. You know, the chief and I have talked about it, and I know she would love to have the two. You know, I just think the numbers probably aren't there, or we're gonna really hit other things pretty hard. It's gonna come from somewhere if we have to make up $80,000. It's a tough deal. I don't think it's not doable. But, and again, you know, I think remembering when this has happened in the past, not very often, but when it has happened in the past, we always try to remember, okay, they took a hit this year, next year, let's make sure they don't take a hit the next few years.
I understand it as a budget by knowing the years past where we were able to, at the end of the year, finally get that second car, but it would go on the
Yeah.
next year's budget, and it just really kind of
We-
skewed things.
We talked with the chief. There was something else that came out that was real important for them too, is new firearms. And she believes that after talking today, after the budget was completed, she believes that maybe she can save a little money on some of these capital expenses she has. And she thinks maybe she can save a little money on and still accomplish her goals. And she could save a little money maybe in some line items somewhere, and we may still be able to purchase those firearms. But what we kind of agreed to, at least, as in our discussion, was, hey, let's see where you are when you get to that point. If you're confident that we can still do this fairly budget neutral, just come to me, and we'll go back before the board and say, hey, you know, we were able to save some money, and here we would really like to purchase. They're trying to switch from 40 caliber weapons to 9mm. That's kind of a movement across the country after an FBI report came out a decade or so ago. And plus they're aging weapons, and you know, you can deal with aging weapons, but it takes a lot of parts, and there's a lot of cost in dealing with those aging weapons. And sometimes maybe it makes more sense to, well, you know, maybe we ought to buy something new. That's what they're struggling with. I think that's what they're working through. You know, I try not to get overly involved in that. I'm just looking at numbers at the end of the day for me, and I'm just trying to make everything balance and still figure out how to at least get them the one car, and to get them the computers they need, and get them the backup, the cyber stuff they need for their backups, and that's what's all in here. And trying to push a problem down the road a little bit. Again, it's hard. I'm not taking that away from anybody. Again, math is math. If it didn't come from there, it's got to come from somewhere else. So we just tried to look at, okay, what makes the most sense to management. And that's all I'm offering you is my final opinion. You know, but that doesn't mean y'all have to agree with that. Y'all can do what you want to. I would encourage you not to go into reserves for a budget, because once we start doing that, I think that would hurt us down the road. You could, but that would not be a good thing. And the law requires us to have a balanced budget, so I can't have an unbalanced budget. I hope that answered your question. Well, if you look at 6C with respect to the airport, and Public Works and Airport, kind of throw all that in the same area. Collections did want a mosquito sprayer, and we talked about that with Nathaniel, and he thinks he can hold off a little while on that. So that was good. We got a compromise there. Airport, take out the reduced timber site prep. That's no longer true. We had a good discussion today. We put that back in, and we looked at some projected revenues a little bit differently, and maybe we added a little revenue to help cover that. That we think will be accurate. And we did remove a fuel tank catwalk, but we do think this is a feature that's needed in the future for better safety. You know, we had the fuel tanks forever, I guess. I'll say forever, that's extreme hyperbole, I suppose. But it seems like forever they've been out there, and we haven't had that tank catwalk. But I can say this, one thing we're doing now that we have never used to do, they actually do all the testing they're supposed to do. I mean, now that we have active management at the airport, an employee at the airport, they're climbing those things, we're doing our sump tests, we're doing our fuel tests, we're trying to make sure that the fuel that goes in airplanes is good and appropriate, and there's no problem. And so I think at some point they said, hey, you know, ladder, we need to do this a little bit better, and I agree with them. You know, for me, at least at the moment, we removed that. We thought we could push that back to next year. Again, we probably, you know, that's something that could be added in, and we could look at the revenues harder, but we're trying to be a little conservative. You know, we always try to be conservative in our revenue projections, at least. So we don't get caught. So that's what that is. In the public works part, what ended up happening here, so there's a change here too, if it's not in, if I've got the wrong notes, you may have the right ones. We ended up removing the equipment storage shed, and we put back in the HVAC replacement. They felt like that was the most important thing for them. You know, we created new storage space last year, last year? Last year. So we increased our storage space under shed, which we think is important because it protects equipment and makes them last longer, hopefully. So we did that, but we had plans to kind of keep extending that just a little further each year with a little bit of money, trickles in. But they did ask for an HVAC replacement because we're having some, I think they've had to bypass a safety switch the electricians have to make it operate. And so they feel like it's on its last leg. And so, and it's I don't know the numbers, but it's an old system that you can't buy new compressors for. You have to replace the system. So Daryl sat down and talked with us today and enlightened us a little bit better on that. So we kind of backed off that as management. And we said, hey, we need to, maybe that's the better way to go. And so we reached a compromise on that, I think. The wastewater has, the thing about wastewater, you know, we got a lot of projects still lingering. We've got the UV system finally is finished, right? So we're finally through with the UV system. That was a couple of year project. But, you know, we're still in the middle of the sludge thing, which y'all know, and we told you earlier, is going to cost the city about $232,000 more than we thought. Something in that nature. And y'all already authorized us to remove money from CDs, to put it in our bank account to be prepared for that. Fortunately for us, you know, all that work wasn't done last year, so we paid a little bit last year. We got reimbursed through CDBG. They're paying $500,000. We got a grant for $500,000, but the cost was $700 and something total, so we're having to come out of cash. We're trying to smooth that out a little bit. We have a plan to do that, to make that work. And but because that ate into a lot of the capital money, a lot of things that they wanted to do this year on normal stuff, we just asked them to hold off on until we can get through these other projects, the sludge, and we also have the emergency pumps that y'all just authorized us to purchase. Hasn't purchased yet, but you know, that's in there too. And you know, we told you even then when we bought those 2 pumps, we still have to buy a 3rd pump, and so that's in here. So you know, it got pretty complicated in how it's all working out, and there's back orders, and so we're trying to be a little more cautious on that line item, and so we've asked them to, hey, just hold off on some of these other things. It is more of a, hey, we know we want it, and maybe it needs it pretty soon, but if we can push it down another year, we're trying to do that. If we run into an emergency, we'll come back to you and talk to you about it. I would say one thing about wastewater, it's very important for y'all to know, and if you look at the wastewater expense line, I am asking y'all, and there's a cost to it, we are asking y'all to go ahead and let us do a professional rate study, because we know we just do not have sufficient funds. We have never built up a sufficient amount of reserves, and that's something like when we had the line collapse on 67. It's a $60,000-$70,000 hit just overnight. And there's nothing you can do about it. You got to spend it, and if you don't have it, you don't have it. You got to find ways to get it. So we need better reserves in there, and our auditors have been telling us this for some time. Sanitation and wastewater both need more sufficient reserve to cover these kind of things. And that's our plans to try to bring it to you. We're working on the sanitation side this year harder, but soon we were asking you for the professional rate study and that's in the line item in there. And by law, we have to do one by 2030, because you know the state legislature at the last legislative session now is going to require wastewater entities to do professional rate studies, because they know just everybody operating wastewater on their own, sometimes they're just being so conservative, they're not taking care of the system, and they're going to require it. You know, Hope Water and Light, I think, does it for electric and water. We've never done it, we've kind of always done it through ourselves, but they're going to force upon us now a professional rate study, and I'm for it. I think we ought to just go ahead and do it earlier rather than later. Let's go ahead and get on the right side of the curve of where we are and maybe get to a better place. I do want you to know, I did remove beautification committee funds. I know that's a sad thing. It was $5,000, but what I would encourage, the beautification committee's done a great job on doing certain things. Here's what I would like to encourage the board, and again, y'all can tell me to put it back in. And my recommendation to you would be to remove it and encourage the the beautification committee to become either a volunteer organization trying to raise funds on their own, or become part of the downtown network and become a segment under them where they focus on downtown beautification, but they're under downtown network. Maybe that might be a viable way, because I notice as all the entities hit the board for money or tourism for money, it's just becoming a greater need, a greater need, a greater need, and it's just difficult. We do have in here, with our EDC partner, we do have in here a request they made for at least 2026 increase. It's a minor increase of $3,000 something dollars. And, as management, obviously I go back and forth on this one, but, EDC is such an important, bringing in one business over time would make if we plant trees, that's a good thing. If we plant, do something beautification, that's a good thing. But bringing in one business that can really affect the city is a major thing. And, I just feel like, and it's not just us. I think EDC is they talked to the county. The county's going to start contributing more. Hope Water and Light, I think, is going to be contributing more. And really the amount was pretty negligible for us. And I talked to Ed Darling today, at least his hope is they did get up more to mimic the city at some point. So that's a good thing. I think we're all trying to partner together. My companion here behind me and my comrade, Anna, she's done a great job. I know we had a hard conversation this week, and it was probably difficult for both of us, but we made it through it. And it's a conversation I think sometimes you get into because of money. And that's just the way it is. So I think really the other thing I just suggest to the board to think about, look, we got notified last year that the roof at the old state police building's leaking a little bit, and some of the trim's falling off, and so the lessees were saying, hey, we need this fixed. And I said, well, what's it going to cost us? I got a quote, and it was around $10,000 to fix it. But here's my concern about all that, and we have a lot of these things to think about. Do we want to continue to spend $10,000 on a building that we make no revenue off of and probably will fall apart in the future unless we put major amounts of money into it? Or should we, hey, we're going to end up taking this thing down at some point, clean up the site? That's what I'd like the board to think about. I did not, even though we need to do a $10,000 roof on that, according to what the quote was, I did not put it in the budget for this year. Okay, so it's not in there. The Cliffs Auditorium is another one. We have HVACs going out. Again, we have a multi-thousand square foot building here that we're taking care of that houses 5 people in our board of directors in a public meeting. And it's y'all remember what the roof cost years ago, and just not to replace the roof, just to repair the existing roof. And if you want to continue to lease out Clips, my thought would be, hey, if we don't have the money to do the HVAC that furnishes air up there, I think there's several things we could do. We just tell the lessee, look, we can't repair it. If y'all want to repair it, you can. We could enter kind of new lease agreement if they want to do that. Or, hey, if you don't want to repair it, you can still use it in those times of the year that are probably more conducive to not having to have air conditioning. I wouldn't want to use it in August without having air conditioning. Or we just say, guys, maybe somebody needs to think about a foundation, or maybe they could think about something, a way they could raise money or do some kind of raising of money. But if we keep throwing money into things like that, when we know the overall general fund revenue, expense items are climbing with inflation, insurance is climbing with inflation, eventually we've got to make some hard decisions. That's all I'm saying. And so I think the board needs to think about some of that. We've talked about 422. We've already talked about 422. And, the board wants to continue that. We're getting 422 repaired. I would just say, from my perspective, 422, that runway, that is what eats into our budget the most, in my opinion. Because when we do a project, if we do anything through Arkansas Aeronautics, we have to pay the match. And it's either 10%, 20% payment, or 50% payment. It's one of those. And that's really what eats cash pretty hard. If you do a large, if you do a $300,000 project at 50/50 or 80/20, you got to pay 20% of that 300,000, so 60 grand. So, I mean, that is what it is. We're getting it repaired now. My thought is, okay, we already decided that we're repairing, we reduced the runway down, and we're repairing certain sections so it can be manageable. If I was a board member, I'd be thinking, okay, 10 years down the road, and this becomes a problem again, and we're just gonna say, hey, look, let's keep using it, keep doing patches y'all can do until it just runs out of its life, and let's switch to one runway.
No, on 422, that's, boy, that percentage that we pay, that come out of the airport fund,
The percentage comes out of that.
and that airport fund has dwindled down. over-
Yeah, I mean, it will, because, we only have the timber revenue and then whatever lease revenue we get, and the lease revenue doesn't pay for the annual cost, so we're constantly getting into the timber revenue, and with the grants, we hit it harder. Now, the 1634 is all paid for, we get that FAA. We may have to front money, but we get it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The 1634 we get back. 422, the FAA won't pay for that.
For a grant, whether it's 10% or 20% or whatever.
Yeah, that Arkansas Aeronautics helps with the
So
422,
it
not
comes
the
out of the airport
FAA.
fund, and it's,
Yes, sir. And, the way I look at it is there's a lot of airports that just run one way. I think Camden, Texarkana is a big commercial, or becoming a commercial
but
airport.
also, like I said, we're still working on the drainage problems. that we
Still
have.
working on the drainage problems,
So
that's
that's-
right. Well, I think they're gonna call it phase 2. It's really phase 3 for the board. We've done 2 phases, and we'll do a 3rd phase.
Is that, no, that's a percentage grant as well, correct?
No, that's the 1634, has to do with that runway, so the FAA pays for it. And that's what we're working on this coming year. I think that's in the budget this coming year, to do more work on 1630, not the drainage, but other things on 1634 that need to be done, like the ceiling and the track repairs and more spall repairs, more concrete work, that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's a challenging thing. I'm just giving you my perspective as I feel like you hired me to give you this perspective, so I'm giving it to you. And I think the other thing we're going to have to look at, and I'm going to close with this, is Daniel and I sat down with general fund revenues. If you look at that page, general fund revenues, you can look at all the revenues that come in that aren't tax revenues. They're not a part of the sales tax. Some of these things are locked in by an ordinance that the city board has set, and some things are, or maybe the department head has some leeway into it. But what I'd suggest is we really take a hard look this year at those general revenues that don't require a vote, and really think about, hey, what makes sense if we haven't raised this in 20 years? Where does this need to be? Because a few $1,000s rolling in would help. And with that, that's kind of the introduction. If you had any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. But I hope that gives you at least some idea of what we think is new and unusual that you're not expecting. And then you can look at your budget over the next week or two, and we can talk more about this the next meeting in December.
Okay. Thank you, JR. All right, we'll move on to item 8, which is airport CDL lease.
Yeah, we had the Arkansas State Police leases the CDL, section of our airport to do CDL license testing and the driving part. And the lease is coming up. The state contacted me that they would like to lease it for 2 more years. We went up last year. The year before last, they were paying $600 annually. Last year, we realized that hadn't gone up in a long time, so the board raised it to $1,200. So they went up 100% last year, and they are paying that. Now we're at the, I'll say 2 years ago anyway. And then now we're at the end of that 2-year lease, and we're just recommending it go up to $1,300. I think there's been some discussion that maybe that should be higher. compared to other leases that we have based on square footage. At the same time, you know, we went up a lot a couple of years ago, 100%. I don't want to sit and look in another direction, but at the same time, I think we need to try to capture at least inflation. And I think what we have in there is around, over those 2 years, around 8%. That's what's in that number, close to 8%. So that's an 8% increase. So we'd ask the board to approve, me to sign the lease with the Arkansas State Police if they will accept the $1,300 annual payment. And if y'all will do that, then we'll try to get that closed.
Any discussion about the amounts?
I don't know, we don't go to 15, but
Now, do we pay, what else do we pay for out there? Do we pay for electricity for them or all that, or what do we pay for?
I'll have to defer to Darrell on that. I don't think there's any.
They lease 1 acre of apron, and they pay for their utilities and
The
everything.
building is theirs, or?
Their building is theirs. They utilize more, some of the apron, a little bit more than an acre probably, turning it around and all this stuff. And they do have a security gate and that kind of stuff. They've got a pretty good, it's pretty nice, pretty good setup in there. So.
But if you'd like us to ask for more, we certainly can do that. It's whatever the board wants to do.
Just to substantiate, the increase, I guess, it's the wear and tear on the concrete, I guess, is the biggest thing. I mean, it's the gate, we have to upkeep the gate ourselves, that's a cost to us.
Well, that was one of the ones we put in new, so we just replaced it. It was 10 grand. So.
Make a motion, Trevor.
make a motion that we change it to $1,500 annually.
So,
Motion second to carry on to come 15. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, thank y'all for that.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm sorry, no.
I did want to let y'all know, y'all did authorize us to put in for a TAPS grant, and we did receive, what was that?
Can you zoom in?
$440,000. That grant has a 20% match, correct me if I'm wrong,
That's right. It's 80/20.
Assistant City Manager.
Yes.
So, obviously, that's a difficult thing this year, so this, if the board approves us to accept this, we're gonna go to a meeting in December 9th and 10th. Daniel's gonna attend that meeting. This is gonna be his project he works on. And we don't anticipate this coming up in 2026. We're gonna budget it in 2027. And this is for some new sidewalks kind of down around 3rd Street. We're just working to identify because there's some good ones and there's some bad ones. We're trying to look in between the bad ones. We could put some good ones to help encourage disability traffic and just walking to the store, getting downtown, that kind of thing. So if y'all approve that, this will probably get budgeted next year, not this year. But we'll be doing all the engineering and stuff this year and talking with them, and then, but eventually, probably all the spending would happen in 2027.
Okay. Any other questions?
Make a motion to accept the TAPS grant.
And motion second, accept the grant. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Item 10.
And last of all, the legislature requires cities, municipalities, and counties, and probably the state government itself, to have an AI policy. We're actually behind the curve. We should have done this a couple of months ago, but we're trying to catch up now. And we do have an AI policy. It's recommended. This is based off of the municipal league. And we kind of adopted that, tweaked it here and there to make it the City of Hopes. And it's before you. And we'd ask y'all to just accept the policy that will bring us into legal compliance for the use of artificial intelligence appropriately and within the law. And anybody who used it, any applicable party connected with the city that the law requires to understand this policy, that we make sure we provide them this policy, that they read and understand it. And department heads would have further authority to require any other training they feel is necessary or not. And then those people, then after reading this and understanding it and attending the training the department head desires, would be able to then use AI appropriately And there, it talks about prohibitions, it talks about if you violate the rules, there's some disciplinary action. And this is all required by the state law for us to include in the policy. So it's pretty much mimics what the municipal league suggested.
Okay.
And it does, we do have a resolution before you, that if you accept this, we can read the resolution, to accept it by resolution.
Okay. Any other questions, Randy?
This is a resolution adopting artificial intelligence policy for the city of Hope in compliance with Act 848 of 2025 for other purposes, whereas Act 848 of 2025 enacted by the Arkansas General Assembly and codified in Arkansas Code Annotated 24-5-1-128 et sec. Requires all public entities, including municipalities, to adopt a policy concerning the authorized use of artificial intelligence and automated decision tools. And whereas the Act defines AI as a machine-based system that can, based on a given set of human-defined objectives, make predictions, recommendations, or decisions influencing real or virtual environments, and it defines automated decision tool as a system or service that uses AI and has been specifically developed and marketed or specifically modified to make or to be a controlling factor in making consequential decisions. And whereas the Act mandates that final decisions involving AI must be made by a human employee, and whereas Section D of that Act 848 specifically prohibits the use of AI and automated decision tools by public employees for certain purposes, and whereas the Act further requires municipalities to provide employee training on the AI policy and to establish disciplinary procedures for violations of the policy, and whereas the Arkansas Municipal League has made training resources available to assist municipalities complying with Act 848, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Hope, Arkansas, Section 1, the city hereby adopts the attached artificial intelligence policy, which defines the authorized use of AI and automated decision tools by city employees. Section 2, the policy requires that all consequential decisions involving AI tools must be reviewed and finalized by a human employee or authorized designee. Section 3, the policy includes a prohibition on the use of AI and automated decision tools for the following purposes as required by Section D of Act 848 of 2025. Expressing a personal political opinion to an elected official unless the opinion is within the scope of the employee's regular job duties, or requested by an elected official or public entity, or engaging in lobbying an elected official or personal opinion if the employee is not a registered lobbyist for the city, engaging in illegal activities or activities otherwise prohibited by federal law or state law, intentionally overriding or avoiding the cybersecurity or system integrity procedures of the city. Section 4, all city employees are trained on the AI policy by reading and understanding this policy prior to using AI. Employees may further be required to obtain training from or other approved sources prior to using AI on any city business or city equipment, if so directed by a department head or city management. Section 5, the city hereby adopts a disciplinary procedure for violations of the AI policy, which shall be incorporated into the city's employee handbook and enforced accordingly.
Thank you, Randy. You've heard the reading. Is there a motion? Add this to the handbook.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Gerald?
The last thing I have for the board, I apologize for the length of the meeting, but I was contacted by a pretty big firm out of Dallas, and what this firm does is they often review big projects for federal government, and what they review are architectural plans from architects you hired to make sure, because there's really nobody watching the architect, right? The architect is overseeing the engineers, but the architect's kind of on his own. And what they do is they'll review your plans for $4,500. They'll review the architectural plans, and they'll tell you from their opinion, hey, we have some concerns with what the architect is presenting. Now, I know you can review and review and review, and it costs money to review and review, but this made sense to me. for $4,500, we could have a professional review. This company's got 40,000 people. They have like 70 architects and like 30,000 engineers and then a bunch of support staff. They operate all over the nation and world and do billion-dollar projects. But the guy called me and I talked to Jeremy about it, and I also talked to Clay about it. Clay has no problem with it. He said this happens, they've done with before. This happens with other projects. Sometimes they want a review of their work. He said he didn't have any problem with it. So I wanted to bring this to the board and ask, would y'all like to spend the $4,500 to have the plan reviews? They also do other business. They also do other things. They're also in the inspection game. And, they may put in for, try to do inspection on some of this job, but that's something that's being farmed out through our processes. But I thought for $4,500, if they caught an issue that may be $40,000, that could help us, that may be worth it. That's really up to the board, and I wanted to bring that to y'all's attention. And if we all want to do it, we need to do it quick because we're already out to bid, and I think we have a deadline of December sometime to make addendums. But the company said if we got on the plans and place it, they could forward them electronically. They can do their work within a week, and we can meet those deadlines that we still need to. So if Clay had a problem, he could still write an addendum to the bids.
Did the company say how successful they've been in the past?
No, I didn't really get into all that. It was kind of in the hectic of the budget, but it just made sense to me. And I just talked to Clay and said, yeah, this is kind of common. But no, they didn't really talk about, I didn't really ask that specific question. And the $4,500 could be paid out of the funds that we have for the project as part of the project.
I think it'd be a good idea.
As long as they say it's $4,500.
That's what you're guaranteed.
I know, but as long as they save,
Oh,
as long as we break even.
yeah, I don't know if that's, I can't guarantee that. Maybe Clay did a great job and everything, oh, he's great. I don't know.
It wouldn't be bad to have another set of eyes look at it before we get going. So,
I agree.
Do we have a motion?
we're getting there.
I'd make a motion that we would do the review for
Second,
4,500.
second.
Motion second to get a second view of the architect. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, good deal.
That's it.
All right, any thing from the board? Are we going to talk about the fire station property next meeting? About
I meant to actually bring that up. I must have skipped over that in my notes, but I've talked with the owners. We've made the deal. So what's happening now is they're getting us a warranty deed with their attorney that Randy will review, and then we also asked for a survey, physical survey of the property, which we'll pay for, not them, because we wanted to make sure that what we see on the ground is actually what we will own. So I'd hate to buy it thinking we own that and have it contested later and realize we don't own it. So we asked for a survey, which they're doing. They're getting the survey done, but we'll pay that at closing. And then they'll get the warranty deed done, and they'll I think they'll be responsible for title insurance, or maybe we split it, I don't know, I'll leave that up to Randy. Randy will help us.
It's in the process, it should be done maybe before the next, it's according to what the survey, how long it takes.
Okay, so we're just kind of in this pattern.
So the hold up right now is survey, and
Well, that usually is if there's required survey. I mean, I'd say that's gonna take the longest of anything.
And I know David real well. I'll call him up and say, hey, maybe he can fit us in quicker, I don't know.
okay,
But
good.
But once we get that done, and the ownership transferred, we get the title, we get the warranty deed, I think we've already got our plans almost done. What we have to do is the geotechnical, so we can get the subgrade stuff figured out. So once we get ownership, we'll start drilling for the geotechnical, and then we'll finish up the 100% plans, we'll bring them to the board, y'all will be able to see them, chief of the fire department will be able to see everything. They've been involved in developing these plans. We'll bring it all to everybody for the final C and the final approval, and then once we do that, then we go to bid.
Okay.
Oh, well, we'd have to actually start with the, taking out the asbestos and then tearing down the buildings, and then we'll go bid somewhere in there too.
Maybe we get started pretty soon. Yeah, any other things from the board? Citizen request?
I just wanted to personally invite all of the city board members on December the 18th. We will be hosting in Hempstead Hall a very exciting announcement for the Economic Development Office. It's a competitive communities designation that is put out by Arkansas Economic Development Commission. Hope and Hempstead County were part of a pilot program back in the 2019-2020 to be one of the first competitive communities. And through COVID and various things in the state, we kind of didn't get all of our information together and submitted. And so we picked the ball back up on that. There are less than, I think, 12 of these communities in the state of Arkansas. There's a lot that goes into it. Some of it's site development and geotechnical studies and phase ones, wetland delineation, things like that for our site. But it's also about our workforce readiness, our existing manufacturing organizations, how they're structured, how our organization is structured, and our partners and all of those things, including the City of Hope. And so we'll be inviting all of our elected officials, but it is a very big deal. Secretary Hugh McDonald will be here. This was a directive through Asa Hutchinson that he began whenever he was in the office of the governor. And so it's something for all of our community, our county elected officials to be really proud of. It says that we checked all the boxes to be a competitive community in the eyes of Arkansas Economic Development. And it's a way for us to tell the community that we're doing really good work to prepare ourselves for business opportunities at the industrial and commercial and retail level, as you can see. That grow our tax base. And so all of that just to say that we really, really would love to have you attend. You'll be receiving a personal invitation in the mail. But we'll have Christmas lunch, so we'll be while you're there. But it is, and elected officials have the first option. We are limiting it to 100 people, just for the sake of wanting to know who's there. We've invited the governor to come. We hope she'll be able to come, but we don't have that confirmed as well. So I just wanted to let you all know of that, and we're finalizing the details with the state at this time. So we'll get you more details as soon as we know them. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, anyone else?
For the record, Wendy Walker. I want to come and ask, Mayor Steele, you said that you were going to check into why that particular manhole at the end of West Greenwood was the weakest point in that line that causes a lot of flooding in that area.
We did.
And what did you come up with?
We got a lot of leaking going on up the way. I think JR is making a hard effort to check those and actually demand,
What
but
makes that manhole the weak link in the entire system?
I think it's all the water coming down that hill.
But that can't be, that's not causing it to be the weak link.
I think where it's located.
There is, where one of the main lines ties in at the end of North Am and West Greenwood, there's a manhole there. 300 feet west, right beside the house that I own on 205 West Greenwood, that's the manhole that overflows.
That's what goes under the tracks.
Correct. And makes me think that there is some type of restriction on the railroad track.
I think we cambered it. Have we cambered that?
I would say yes, we have. We've cambered it.
As far as the camera reach, and they've
Yeah.
smoke tested it as well.
Yeah, smoke testing. And we haven't been able to determine there's any stoppage on the line.
It was,
Because as far as the camera don't go in the water, does it? Has to be dry?
all we draw right now.
Did you seal it off? Well, there's always sewage coming down.
Yeah.
Did you cap it off, make it dry? Because it's at that point that the, well, I won't get off into that, but the main thing is I want to formally request that the city remove that anti-backflow valve that they placed on my property. It was done without my knowledge, without my permission, and it creates a hardship for me.
Okay? Well, we, the only thing about it, if we remove it, you know what's fixing to happen.
Well, the way I look at it this
We're not
way,
responsible anyway, but it's gonna be here it comes down the hill and it's going right in your house, if we take it out. I mean, that's just the way it is.
well, I want to debate with you because we still disagree on that. Because even the city manager agrees that I pay 0% in causing that problem.
Willie,
The city is one, I'm not gonna debate with you. What I'm saying is, I deserve the right, as a citizen of Hope, to receive the same privileges of the system that everyone else does.
but,
And the city causes the problem.
yeah, but
The city causes the problem. So why should the city put the hardship on me? I don't see how that is fair. I'm asking you to be fair.
well, I'm gonna go back a little bit. I think when that house was bought back by Union Pacific, wasn't it? Who'd you buy the house from?
I bought the house from Union Pacific
And why did they buy it back?
because it flooded.
Period. And you bought it knowing it was gonna flood,
I sure did. I sure did.
but we'll check.
Because of that, I don't have the right to come and let y'all know that your sewage system is flooding that area.
So what, we're gonna check it again, okay? You got my word. We're gonna check it again, we're gonna see if.
I still want that anti-backflow valve taken out.
Okay.
And I would like to be notified when it's scheduled to be done, so I can be there.
Okay.
Is there a code enforcement, anything as far as on that requires houses to have backflows?
Just whenever there's potential for a surge to hit, when we get a big rain, they smoked that area. There were several leaks, some clean out, the tops was off of them, I think.
Including that yard, including his yard.
So
Didn't
that,
have clean out cap.
that is the problem. I mean,
Contributing
when
to
the
the
clean
problem.
out caps are off, here comes the rainwater.
I don't think y'all realize how much water come out of the manhole.
With that, in the rains, it comes, but it's
But-
coming
but,
from clean outs that's leaking, like the one you had in your yard, the cap was off of. That's dumping all that water in there, that's creating more of a problem.
I believe you did a code enforcement, there was
80,
already numerous houses that
80
were already
something
contacted
leaks.
along that line.
Yeah.
But they have so much time to,
Yeah, they're giving them so much time to try to get them fixed.
They are. They're fixing them.
but my concern, Willie, is that take that backflow, like I said, you know what's gonna happen.
But that's what I don't understand is that you recognize that it's a city problem that I have no control over. I have no control.
But again, Willie, that's an
A large rain and a flood are two different things. You got to get straight with the terminology. A large rain and a flood is two different technologies. Okay? Now, I don't know how you view it, but if I have absolutely no control over the problem, and the city has 100% control over it, how can the city turn around and make me responsible for it? Put the hardship on me. Just like you sit here and listen to the city manager talk about his budget and how money is tight.
I don't understand the city.
We have to manage our money the same way. So why should you put hardship on the private landowner when it's the city's problem?
But the city put that backflow.
On my property.
For you.
That makes me responsible for it. If I have a problem, I got to call a plumber out with a backhoe. Why should the city put that on me? I have no control over that. I can't fix it. So why should the city put that on me until you get the problem
Do
straight?
you not think there'll be more hardships taking that backflow off though?
Not if you take it and put it in the right of way where you can maintain it. Where it should have been done in the first place. It should have been put in the right of way where the city can maintain it if there's a problem.
We don't maintain on private services.
You was supposed to go on private property to start with. You really wasn't supposed to go on my property to do anything to start with. So that gives me the right to take it out.
All right, if that's your request, I understand that.
And I don't see, and if you could put it in my yard, why couldn't you put it in the right of way? You didn't put it in the right of way because it puts the burden on me. And it relieves the city of any, I guess, liability because you put it on my property.
If it's in the right of way, I mean, from my understanding with the wastewater, they're not gonna maintain that either. It's on a private service.
You're
And
right.
We've got
You're right.
several of them on private services and that protects those homes.
Anybody that puts them in, puts them up close to the house.
Yeah, I mean, they typically are.
Clean out areas that's where they go. I've never seen one put
Out close to the road.
Well, I put it in this way, it's the first time for everything. And that particular manhole overflowing, no one seems to be concerned but me. Because there's a reason that manhole is a weak link in the line. And I contend that the amount of water that comes out of that wastewater is enough to flood that whole area back there by itself.
Yeah,
all the leaks, the rainwater that's getting into our system causes that weak link. It's got to go. When it
That
hits
still
that
falls
system,
back on the city.
but it's,
That still falls back on the
the
city.
water's coming from out of people's
That still falls
yards,
back on the city.
like your clean out. that
It still
leaks.
falls back on the city.
But then, I mean, you're a percentage of that, making that man.
And I'm in the process of correcting that.
Maybe if I could just say one thing to the board. Hey, I understand it's a difficult situation. We've talked many times about it. I was just a clarification point. When we talk about the wastewater system, it's really kind of a, where's Dorsey? Hey, Dorsey, don't run away. But the wastewater system is really a partnered system. Some of it is the city, and some things connect to it is private. It's a private-public system. So to the extent we're talking about the city's main lines, yes, he's right. The city's responsible for those main lines, and if something's stopped up, we need to unstop it. If something's broke, we try to fix it. Obviously, we can't spend hundreds of millions of dollars at one time, but we try to do what's reasonable to fix the problem. What is wrong on the private line is not the city's, it is the private property owner's line. He has a point that the city still can leverage its authority and say, hey, you're not connecting right and you're causing damage, you're gonna have to fix this, and that's what we're doing. We're smoke testing every line. We've determined all the private line property problems. We're visiting each person and telling them, you got a cap off, you got a broken line, you got something leaking, you gotta fix it. And if they fail to fix it, we're giving them a certain amount of time to fix it. If they fail to fix them, our leverage is we're gonna write them a citation, we're gonna get them before a judge, and we're gonna get a judge involved with them either fixing their system. If they don't fix their system, eventually we're gonna, and if, we could go out there and cut the system off, lock them out and say, until you get it fixed, you're not gonna have access to the system. That's something we can do. So we're trying to work through that now. That's what we're trying to work through. And we get reports every Friday on the progress of our wastewater team doing this. And we've made some progress, getting some things fixed. There's still a lot of things that need to be fixed. And, you know, when they're all fixed, I think we'll be able to better determine what is this particular issue at this one manhole. Maybe it's, but they've said they've tested all of our stuff, and we had 2 minor leaks that they've already repaired. So now we're working with all the private ownerships to deal with us. If I said something incorrect that you misunderstand, or you, Dorsey, if I've spoken adequately.
what percentage been fixed on that line, going up the street? 10%, 20%?
I would say maybe 5 or 10%.
Yeah.
Needed.
You know, some of those are real easy. You just put a new cap on. But a lot of these are underground issues where they have to actually hire somebody and
Yeah, and maybe it's at a low point and something swirls, and that's where the water standing out, it's going down into the pipe, and water sitting on top of it. A lot of issues. But that's what we're trying, that's what we're committed to try to get through this process to get this resolved to the best we can. With all due diligence and what's appropriate to this business, to this, operating this kind of business.
Do you not disagree that it places a hardship on me?
Yeah. I've seen it in action.
Why? Why should that burden be placed on me when he's right, it's a partnership? But that partnership, the private owner is responsible for the sewer line that connects to the main line. That's it.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
The problem is not with my service line. The problem does not lie there.
No,
The
it's-
problem lies on the city side. So I cannot fix the problem that's on the city side. So why should the city try to,
It's on the private lines going up the hill. City line has been checked, but the private line's going to the houses.
it's not my private line,
No, it's not.
okay?
To talk to your neighbors.
It's, yeah, well,
That's your job,
we are.
not mine.
We are. It's like mowing a yard in the summer.
I thought I was talking to the city council members.
Okay, we'll work on this with them. And, I would like to, I'll talk to them about checking that manhole again, because we gotta check the other end of that.
Manhole can be open. I bet you to say that there's some type of blockage going on the railroad track. The format on the city map is not very user-friendly. But I think there was a manhole 90 or 89, but there seems to be a blockage under the railroad track.
Hey, just, that's not our opinion, but but if you're, let's get on the next agenda and we'll have Scott and his crew come and tell the board, make sure we bring them up to speed on everything we've done.
Come 2 weeks, we'll have a full report.
Will I be notified when you're gonna remove the antibacterial bag?
I'm gonna check with Randy and see how we do that. But I'm.
Well, you came on private property once, you can always come back again, because you wasn't going the first time.
You've been invited this time.
Yeah. Okay,
Well, I think there's a couple issues, but I think that's something to discuss with Randy and.
I'll call him and tell you.
Okay, good enough. Thank
I
y'all.
will. You know I will.
Thank y'all
Okay,
very much.
all right. Boom, your turn. No, you're here.
I just want to say we love y'all, appreciate y'all, thank y'all for what you do. We just left I'm serious about this, Mayor. We just left our board meeting, and it's a thankless job what you're doing, to try to present budgets and get things approved and figure things out and make the most good you can, and it can really cause the heart some trouble and the head some trouble, and I just want to say thank you, we appreciate you. Hope public schools can do anything for you, please let us know. With that in mind, we have Stuff the Bus that's actively going on, Higgly Wiggly and Walmart this Saturday between 8 and noon. Bring all the canned goods you can stand and you can muster to those two locations and help us stuff the bus and provide for our ongoing food pantry and food for our families this holiday season.
You had a great group there at Walmart Saturday.
They're excited. They're taking it on. We have a wonderful person who may be in the room, who may be sitting as your colleague who's assisting with that. So thank you, Dr. Clark. I have two school board members here. Got Jimmy Courtney, got Nathaniel Holyfield here as two school board members. I just want to say thank you to them publicly. They just left the school board meeting and now they're here with you guys as well. So we love you. We thank you. If you need anything, let us know.
Doc, where is, I may be embarrassing myself, where is your food pantry, the school's?
So it's in Yerger Annex, so it'll be, so Dr. Clark's office, that general area has an extra classroom that we're going to utilize for food pantry needs, and she does a great job district-wide.
And what's the rules to access, for anybody to access the food, so we just would know?
Yeah, so we look internally first, so we look for our students and this identification with our counselors first, and so there'll be students identified, whether it's the backpack program that we currently have or just an extension of that, and then we go out from there. That's where the district social worker comes into play, and district social workers, really, I mean, she's in charge of more than one to make sure that we identify those families.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Hello,
Come on up and state your name and.
my name is Kirsten Clem, Yolanda Wingfield, and I was here July the 6th of this year. It's regarding my property on 1515 Allen Street. And the reason I'm here is because the property is not in safe structure, it needs to be condemned. And I have gotten I called Mr. Dorsey, I think it was Monday I contacted you, and he was letting me know that I was given 3 months to get the property torn down, which I was not able to get it done because of, like I say, I'm on the budget. I just gained employment at Texas County, Arkansas School District, and right now I don't have the access to get the property and to get it torn down, but I'm asking for an extra extension of time to get the property torn down.
So we're gonna tear it down, we're not gonna do anything with it.
Yes, I'm tearing it down.
So at first, I think you were planning on
I was gonna be modeling, but I talked to, and they just told me, just go ahead and start from scratch, just tear it down.
How much time are you asking for?
Sir, I really, like I said, I just got employment and I have glaucoma and my medication at the time was $800 a month. And drive back and forth to Texarkana, it's like, you know, I have to get my funds together so where I can get, I really can't just say at the moment, but I really don't know.
Royce, would you like to address, on anything?
It's been an eyesore over there for a little over 9 years, ever since I've been here. She didn't own it all this time, but that house has been just that long, nobody in it, it's falling apart. I talked with her 3 months ago, a little over 3 months ago, and that's what she asked for was 3 months. And I told her then, look, 3 months, I can't go no longer than that. So we actually yesterday was gonna get bids on it from the contractors to get prices to have it removed.
The thing was, he told me if I couldn't get it done in 3 months, to come back to the board and ask for an extension. That was the agreement at first. So he told me that he was going to get a contractor to tear it down. I'm like, no, that was not the agreement for me to come back, ask for time. Like I said, I just got employment. And I'm not gonna sit there and say that I'm gonna have something done, which I know I cannot get done at that time.
The board, I thought the board is the only one that will give you more time. I can't give you no more time.
So to get that torn down, how much would it probably run? Just
Roughly around 4,000 for a contractor to tear it down.
You know, I think, you know, we get more than one torn down, so I don't think you're gonna get any better price than what we're gonna tear down.
Well, I'm looking at a guy out of Magnolia, he said he can do it for me like a couple of $1,000, but it's a point in him getting up here to do it. That's the
I
thing.
tell you what, you know, what we run into a lot of time, somebody start tearing it down and they'll get halfway through and then they'll quit on you and then we come back and charge you another $2,000 to get it torn down. I mean, I'm really pressing you on letting us go ahead and tear it down and get it over with.
if we could do a payment plan with you and go ahead and tear it down, would that help you?
I would prefer to get someone that can do it, because I know I can get somebody to do it less than $4,000. It's just a person to get in there getting it done. He has other things to do, and right now he's busy, but he said he could do it for me, so.
But it's gonna be a pretty while before you can pay $4,000, right? Is that kind of where we're going with this?
I mean, he could do it for $2,000, I'm talking about $4,000. Like I said, it just, you know.
Yeah, when do you, I mean,
for the time frame.
we're talking about
How long
a month,
are you
2
saying?
months, or
Yeah,
6
wait.
months, or?
Maybe he would let you pay that out, go ahead and get it torn down, you could have your extension with him and not with the city.
What be that, please?
I'm saying he could come on and tear it down, you could have the payment with him and not with the city.
But what type of payment you talking about, for how long?
That's between you and him, not between us, that's what I'm saying, take the city out of it.
You know what I'm saying, how much are you talking about for a payment of $4,000?
Don't get into the payment plan.
That's how it is.
We could probably work something out between you and me with a contract and reviewed by the city attorney. We could probably do something that would be beneficial if we end up tearing it down. What we'd do is tear it down, we'd place a lien on your property till you repay us. And then if you paid us back over time and we're finally paid, then we'd remove the lien. Is that correct, Randy?
Well, can I give him a couple of months, and then if I don't get tore down, y'all go ahead and tear it down, and then I'll do a payment plan, can I do it that way?
If you don't get it down and then still get it, I can't see that happen, because it's putting the city in the hole. Because once we do this for you, it's gonna be somebody else listening right now. I want the same deal that we gave you, that we don't went past his authority to tell you 3 months. He gave you 3 months. We told you that it wasn't gonna happen. It didn't happen. You remember?
But I understand what you're saying,
And
but
then
you're
when you
saying if
said
I
something about
didn't
your
get
job, this and
back,
that, that don't have nothing to do about your job. He was helping you.
but what I'm saying, I was, like I said, I was not employed at the time, and I had to seek another job, And the deal was that you told me if I could not get it done, to come back to the board and ask for an extension of time. And that's what I'm here for.
He's standing right there, man. I'm just saying, he's standing right there. He had to come through us. He gave you 3 months, right?
Yes, I'm saying after 3 months, y'all told me, he told me to come back.
Turn around and come back again?
Yes, that's why I'm here. If I wasn't the case, I
Well, we
wouldn't
knew,
be here.
we knew up front that it wasn't gonna happen. We told you it wasn't gonna happen.
No.
Because that person
no.
can't do it for that kind of money.
No, the thing was, you said if I did not get it tore down or get it fixed, to come back in 3 months, which I did. And that's what I'm here for.
I make a motion concerning this matter is that we will allow you to work with the city manager and whatever proposal that you and him will agree with would be taken up for the board.
Okay.
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. I gotta hear that motion
We
again.
missing
We just
something.
had a motion, we had a second.
Motion is to go ahead and let it tear it down and her work out a
A plan with the city manager.
okay, well, it's not, I mean, really, that's just the way it works. When we tear it down, it goes against the title.
If we file a lien, they
It's
can
lien.
reimburse us.
And then you can pay back, you can work out with JR, time frame on paying it back. But it'll be a lien against your property, and we're
Okay.
going to go ahead with the procedure to tear it down.
City gonna tear it down, he gonna work it out with you to pay it back.
Yeah.
So the board, do any motion? Okay. Is that, any complaint from the board?
Well, make sure she understand what you're
So
saying.
moving forward.
I understand, I quite do understand what you're
City
saying.
gonna tear it down.
City gonna tear it
Yeah,
down,
they
then you work with the city
Okay.
attorney and the city manager.
That's
on
just
get-
what's-
But if in the meantime, if I get someone can come and get it done before they do tear it down, can I then, what, do I need to contact?
Once they park their equipment on their property, it's over.
But say, if he keep in contact with me, let me know, hey, this is what's gonna happen. If I get someone to get there before that time, that's what I'm asking.
If somebody starts on it within a couple of weeks.
He gonna have to go on with it. He can't start it just like the last said. He
Probably
can't start and start. That's what we see all the time.
Or 2 weeks, getting somebody on that?
Yeah.
So it'd be, you need to get somebody over there in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And a half.
All right,
And then Doris will know if it's,
Thanksgiving,
yeah,
1st of December, we're coming.
1st of December.
okay.
Okay? All right.
Because that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, that's fine. We didn't need one. Okay, anything else come before the board? We did everything now. Okay? Not, we're adjourned.